It was 2 days before Christmas Eve, and all the engines were excited. They couldn't wait for the festivities. And they understood they had to wear snow plows if there's a snow block the line. One day, James rolled into the shed, complaining as usual. "Ugh, this isn't my day," he grumbled. "What's got you in a bit of a mood?" said Thomas. "I used up all my sand when I approached the junction," snarled James. "And not only that, snow from the station roof fell on me. Snow is nothing but trouble." "Well, the way I see it," said Emily, "snow is magical. Children use snow to build snowmen. And," said Percy, "they use snow for snowball fights." "Oh, I know that," said James, "but still, it's not fun when you're stuck in the snow." The Fat Controller arrived. "Emily, I have a special job for you," he said. "You have to collect your coaches for passengers and take them to Wellsworth. Then, you have to go to the docks for some trucks and take them to Crovens Gate Station." "Oh yes, of course, sir. Right away, sir," said Emily. "That's a good engine," said the Fat Controller, and he left. "Have a good day, Emily," said Thomas. "Oh, I will," said Emily. Once Emily's crew was ready, she departed. "I doubt she'll have a good day," said James scornfully. "Oh, she'll be fine," said Thomas. James just rolled his eyes. Soon Emily arrived at the fitting yard for her snowplow, and once it was fitted, she departed. Emily went to the yard to collect her coaches. "We are going to pick up the ice skaters for Wellsworth," said her driver. "Oh, how lovely," said Emily. Soon Emily was making excellent time. They got the ice skaters to their destination right on time. She even collected the cars and tables and chairs for Scarlowe to take to the Christmas Eve banquet at the sheds. "Thank you, Emily," said Scarlowe. "Now we have everything we needed." "You're welcome, Scarlowe," said Emily. It was now evening when Emily headed home. "What a day," said Emily. "What could even go wrong?" "Indeed," agreed her driver. "We made good time today." Unfortunately, Emily's joy wasn't to last. The line up ahead was icy and very slippery. Then suddenly, Emily found herself slipping. "Whoa!" she cried. "Driver, sand, quickly!" "I can't," called the driver. "You used up all your sand!" "Oh dear!" cried Emily. "We're sure to have an accident!" She didn't notice that there was a huge rock buried under the snow. Emily's snowplow struck the rock and came apart as Emily derailed and sprawled on her side. "What happened?" cried Emily. "Your snowplow has hit a rock under the snow," said her driver, "and is now damaged. I'll have to go and phone for help." "Oh, please do," said Emily. So her driver and fireman jogged up the line to find the nearest telephone. Soon it was dark, and no help had come. Emily's fire had gone out, and she was beginning to feel very cold. "Oh, I hope come soon," she shivered, but there was worse to come. The next morning was Christmas Eve. James and Percy were having their fires lit up. Percy was worried. "Where do you think Emily has gone to?" he asked James. "She probably went off early to do her job," said James. "But she wasn't in her berth when I returned," said Percy. "She might be stuck out in the snow." "I knew snow was nothing but trouble," said James. "I tried to tell her, but she didn't." "Shh," said Percy suddenly. "I can hear something." "What sort of something?" asked James. "Just listen," said Percy. From outside was a faint whirling noise. Before Percy or James could say anything, a voice called out. Can one of you come outside for a minute, please?" "I think I'd better go see who it is," said James, and he slowly moved outside and onto the turntable. "You see anything?" called Percy. "I don't see anyone," called James back. "That's because I'm over here," said the same voice. James jumped. It was Harold the helicopter. He didn't look happy. "Harold," said James, "what are you doing here?" "It's Emily," replied Harold. "She's not returned to your sheds. She's stranded somewhere in the snow." "Stranded?" gasped James. "Oh no, that sounds terrible." "Don't worry, I'll help." "Then fetch Donald and Douglas and work with a shovel," said Harold. And he took off. And James steamed off to find Donald and Douglas. He soon found them at the fitter's yard. "Please put my snowplow on," he told the workman. "Right," said the workman. "What's the hurry there, James?" questioned Donald. "It's Emily," said James. "She's stranded somewhere. Can you two help me find her?
Oh, hey! Exclaimed Donald. We'd be delighted to help you, James. Lucky for you, we were about to patrol the lane, agreed Douglas.
Oh, thank you, said James. Now we need the workmen with the shovels. Once James's plan was fitted, he and the twins set out to find the workmen. They soon found them. You have to help us, said James. Emily's stranded in the snow somewhere. Then we'll need a works unit coach to ride in, said the workman. You don't need a works unit coach, said a voice. It was old Slow Coach. The workman can ride in me to help your friend, she said.
Then you're coming with us, said Donald. But can you do it? Asked Douglas.
Oh yes, said the coach. I have plenty of room. You've made a very wise choice, said James. So the twins buffed up to old Slow Coach. That's everything we need, said James. Now let's go! James, old Slow Coach, and the twins searched high and low for Emily, but they couldn't find her. High up in the sky, even Harold was having a hard time searching. Eventually, the twin engines came to a very deep snowdrift. Emily's gotta be around here somewhere, said James.
I hope you're right, said Donald.
But if Emily's here somewhere, said Douglas,
she might have been buried under the snow.
I'll try plowing through the snow, said James. James was about to do just that, when all of a sudden... I can hear something, said James.
Oh, I think it's the wind, said Douglas.
No, listen, Dougie, insisted Donald. A muffled singing was heard from beneath the snow. That must be Emily, exclaimed James.
But how do we know it's Emily?
Asked Donald. Oh, look what's over there, answered James. Poking out of the snow was a tall brass funnel. That must be Emily's funnel, explained Donald. That means Emily really is in there, said James. We better dig her out right now.
Not if I can help it,
called a familiar voice. Just then Harold flew by and blew all the snow off to reveal...
Emily!
cried the engines. Oh, thank goodness you're here, cried Emily. Thank you! I think you should be thanking Harold, chuckled James. Indeed, agreed Harold as he touched down. My rotor blades worked as a charm. Oh, thank you, Harold, smiled Emily. Soon, Emily was back on the rails, and Harold brought her driver and fireman. She felt warm and comfortable again. I'm glad you're safe, Emily, said her driver. So am I, said Emily. But without my friends, I don't know how long I would be stuck in the snow. So I thought I'd sing myself some Chris's tunes to help lighten up my spirits, and it looks like it did. That's brilliant thinking, Emily, said her driver. Now let's get you home. When they arrived, the vacuum floor was ready. A fine piece of work, he congratulated. Well done, you three. I'm sorry about the accident, apologized Emily. It wasn't your fault, Emily, said the factory controller. Your crew showed me everything. I also heard that you did very well on your jobs. Really? Oh, thank you, sir, said Emily. What matters right now is that you're safe and sound, put in James. Aye, James, agreed the twins. And you may go with the other engines to the Christmas Eve party, added the fat controller. Be quick now. The party was in full swing, and all the engines were enjoying themselves. Even James and Emily. It's no fun getting stuck in the snow, whispered Ellen to James. But to tell you the truth, it was worth it for this party. I'd rather be here than stuck in the snow any day, agreed James. Emily couldn't agree more. At Tim's sheds when the party was over, all the engines were sleeping, James and Emily had a little talk. I'm sorry I was grumpy yesterday about the snow, said James. And you're right. While snow can be trouble, it can also be magical. And that is why I sing my Christmas tunes to help lighten up my spirits, said Emily. Merry Christmas, James. Merry Christmas, Emily, said James. And with that, the two friends fell happily to sleep.